I've covered the college expenses, you know. Acting all superior about it? High and mighty, you know? $45,000 is a significant amount of money, don't you think? Oh, just hush up. Don't act like you're doing me a favor. And don't bother showing up at my daughter's wedding. My son's wife verbally abused me, and then the eldest son's wife treated me with contempt. No matter what, I had reached my limit with her attitude. With a forced smile, I told her, if you're going to go that far, I'll gladly stay away. My name is Emily, a 69-year-old housewife. My husband passed away 4 years ago, and now I live alone in a spacious house. This house used to be lively and noisy when the four of us, my husband, my 2 sons, and I, lived here. Currently, my eldest son, Tom, is 47 years old, and my younger son, Richard, is 43 years old. Both have their own families. When the children were younger, they used to be mischievous, running around the yard, playing catch, and occasionally bickering over video games. My husband and I would call them in and temporarily confiscate the games on such occasions. As the children grew older, they stopped fighting and started thinking seriously about their futures, including high school and college. They were good kids who studied diligently, even wanting to attend cram school on their own. Both of them advanced to prestigious schools and eventually attended high-level universities. Sending both our children to college was financially challenging, but my husband worked hard and held a decent position, so we managed to raise our 2 sons without money worries. After our sons became independent, my husband and I enjoyed our time together, spending our days leisurely. We traveled abroad, went on local hot spring trips, and created many enjoyable memories. A few years passed, and my eldest son got married, followed by my younger son. This is when I realized how suddenly life can change. As we talked about possibly seeing our grandchildren soon, my husband and I celebrated our sons' marriages. Soon after their weddings, my eldest son and his wife had a child, a beautiful girl named Ellie. Meeting our first grandchild was truly heartwarming, and my husband and I, growing teary-eyed in our old age, were overjoyed as we held our grandchild. "Come on, Mom and Dad, you're getting too emotional," my eldest son teased. But the tears wouldn't stop. From then on, we celebrated our grandchild's special occasions as much as we could. We contributed money for various ceremonies, such as the celebration of their growth, entrance ceremonies, and graduations. Seeing our grandchild happy brought us immense joy, and knowing that our eldest son was pleased made us happy too. Our eldest son would send us pictures of Ellie at various milestones, and this became something we looked forward to. A few years later, a lovely baby boy was born to our younger son and his wife. We were thrilled that both our sons had children. Of course, we celebrated and cherished our younger son's child just as we did with our eldest son's child, especially during special occasions. The whole family gathered for joyful times during New Year's and the special summer holidays. We had a great time barbecuing in the yard where Tom and his brother used to run around. Seeing our sons show their own children their grandparents' faces made us profoundly reflective about the passage of time. Time flew by quickly, and the grandchildren grew rapidly. Ellie, the daughter of our eldest son's family, began staying with us for extended periods during the summer break from around 5th grade. Tom and his wife wanted some alone time as a couple, which was essential and beneficial for both us and the grandchildren. We could spend quality time together. Ellie was such a well-behaved girl. She shared many school stories with my husband and me and even helped me with cooking. She was a very responsible child. Even when we dined out together, she would always thank the server herself, and we felt that Tom and his wife had raised her well. However, there was something that concerned me a bit. It was about Tom's wife, Catherine. Catherine is generally a good person, but she has a somewhat challenging or irritable personality. I didn't know what might trigger her, and she would sometimes react sharply to unexpected comments. I remember asking Catherine casually if she was working, and when she mentioned that she was a full-time housewife, I didn't mean anything by it. It was just simple conversation, a question without any deep meaning. However, at that moment, Catherine stared at me sharply and said, "Is it wrong to be a full-time housewife? Do you think women have to work too? You were a full-time housewife too, weren't you? Isn't it strange to tell me to work and only me?" Even though I hadn't said anything like that, she quickly made those remarks, and I was taken aback. I tried to calm her down, but I've been a bit uncomfortable around her ever since. I didn't know when she might lose her temper, and she seemed difficult to approach, even when I was interacting with my granddaughter. She would observe me with watchful eyes, and it made me wonder if I had done something wrong. These concerns lingered, and I was worried about whether Ellie, who was raised by Tom's wife, would develop similar personality issues. Thankfully, my worries proved unfounded, and Ellie grew up to be a very kind and honest girl. She treated my husband and me very well, even after becoming a middle school student and then a high school student. But amidst all this, something very unfortunate happened to me, the death of my beloved husband. He developed cancer, and a year later, he took his last breath. I was truly saddened by the loss of my husband, with whom I had shared many years. It took time to recover, but I gradually regained my energy. Then, an unfortunate incident happened to Tom and his family. Tom's company went bankrupt due to an economic downturn, leaving him unemployed. Tom and his wife came to me with a request. "Mom, the truth is we're falling behind on Ellie's college tuition payments. I'm really sorry to ask this, but could you help us with the admission fee and this year's tuition, please, Emily? Help us, please, help us." It was painful to think that our daughter might not be able to attend the college she wanted. Even Tom's wife, who had been difficult in the past, pleaded with me. "Of course, I will. I'll help Ellie as much as needed," I said, immediately providing the college entrance fee and the first-year tuition to Tom. He expressed his gratitude, and I reassured him, "It's fine. Just let me know whenever you're in trouble." After that, it seemed that Ellie was able to enter college safely. I asked her, "Ellie, are you enjoying college?" She replied, "Yes, it's really fun. I've made some friends, and the classes are really interesting." I responded, "Is that so? Well, I'm glad to hear that." Seeing my granddaughter happy made me feel pleased that I could assist. I also received word from Tom that he had successfully found a new job. He said, "Mom, I'll definitely pay back the money you gave me." I replied, No, it's fine. That was money I gave you. Instead, focus on saving money to make up for the difficult time you had while you were unemployed." Tom expressed his gratitude, and everything seemed to have settled nicely. But almost a year later, my daughter-in-law unexpectedly came to my house alone. I asked her, "What's going on? It's unusual for you to come alone, Catherine." She said, "I have a favor to ask of you, Emily." I inquired, "What is it, actually?" She replied, "I want to ask for your help with Ellie's college expenses again this year." I was surprised and asked, "But Tom has found a new job and is working properly now, right? Can't he pay for the tuition?" Catherine explained, "Well, since he changed jobs, his salary has decreased quite a bit." He didn't mention that. I think he probably didn't want to worry you. It was indeed something that could happen with my eldest son. He has a strong sense of responsibility and tends to take everything on himself. I think he must have reached his limit with Ellie's college entrance fee and first-year tuition. So he asked for my help, believing that he can't rely on me any further now that he's re-employed. I came here today without telling Tom. Tom says he'll manage on his own, but considering our funds for our old age, the reality is that it's tough. So I thought maybe I could ask for your assistance again, mother-in-law. The eldest daughter-in-law said so and bowed her head. I was a little hesitant, but I decided to help again this year. I reassured her, saying, "That's fine. There's still some of your father's inheritance left, and it's for Ellie's sake. I thought I would be willing to give as much as necessary for my dear granddaughter. Thank you, Emily. Can you keep this a secret from Tom? I think he would feel responsible and worry about it. I agreed, saying, I see. Okay, thank you very much. Since then, my eldest son's family has come to my house several times, and it seems that both Tom and Ellie are enjoying themselves without any problems. However, a year later, my daughter-in-law came to me again, asking for help with Ellie's tuition. She said, has Tom's income not increased yet? She replied, yes, that's right. The rent for our apartment is fairly high, and life is tough. I know it's shameful, but can I ask for your assistance again? This time, I started to feel something was wrong, but I ended up providing financial assistance for the tuition without thinking twice. Perhaps living alone in my family home and feeling lonely had something to do with it. Helping others seemed to be one way to fill the emptiness in my heart. But the next year, my daughter-in-law came to me again, demanding tuition for Ellie. I was really at a loss and asked, are you really struggling that much with money? She explained, you, living on a pension, may not understand the impact of this recession. I understood and agreed to help once more. My daughter-in-law started crying, but I reassured her, saying, Catherine, calm down. I understand, and I'll help you. So please don't worry. She thanked me, and thus, I ended up paying all of Ellie's college tuition. The total amount reached approximately $45,000. Honestly, it was quite a sum, but I convinced myself that it was okay, if it was for my granddaughter's future. When Ellie successfully graduated from college and found a job, she thanked me and said, Grandma, it's all because you worked so hard. I replied, thank you, but it's all thanks to you, Grandma. She asked, you paid for my college entrance fee and tuition for the first year, didn't you? I heard from my dad that when his company went bankrupt and things were tough, you helped us out. Thank you so much. I humbly said, no, it's fine. Realizing that Ellie was content made me genuinely happy. After that, Ellie transitioned into adulthood and started working diligently. She would occasionally reach out to me or visit me independently, appearing to derive joy from her work and live fulfilling days. Grandma, I have some exciting news. I'm getting married. Since my husband passed away, and I lived alone, it was heartwarming that she took the time to come and see me. I believed that Ellie was truly a remarkable young woman. My second son's family had lived far away for approximately 15 years due to a job transfer, making it challenging for them to visit. So, I greatly appreciated Ellie's visits. About 2 years after Ellie started working, she came to my house one day, wearing a joyful expression. I couldn't help but comment, Ellie, you seem to have a happy look on your face. She responded with a flushed face, saying, you can tell, huh? I guess my joy is showing on my face. Then, Ellie revealed the big news, something good happened. Actually, I'm getting married. I was taken by surprise, and my heart swelled with happiness. I exclaimed, married? Congratulations, Ellie. Grandma is really happy too. She expressed her gratitude, saying, thank you, Grandma. You have to come to the wedding. I assured her, yes, of course, I'll go. I'm looking forward to it. I was overjoyed that my dear granddaughter was getting married. Time truly flies, and I eagerly anticipated her wedding day. I received a wedding invitation, marked my attendance with a circle, and sent it back. Ellie's big day was approaching, and I even thought about visiting a hair salon and getting a new dress. However, the joy and anticipation were soon disrupted when my eldest son's wife unexpectedly paid me a visit. She wore a decidedly unfriendly expression, which immediately set off alarm bells in my mind. Catherine, my eldest son's wife, stormed into the living room without waiting for an invitation and plopped down on the sofa. I couldn't help but wonder what had transpired, so I took a seat across from her, trying to make sense of the situation. With an air of bluntness, she got straight to the point. Could you please not come to Ellie's wedding? I was taken aback by her request and inquired, what? Why? She responded, because I find your presence annoying. I was shocked by her words and protested, wait. You can't just say something like that out of the blue and expect me to accept not going to the wedding. I don't care whether you agree or disagree, Catherine. I've always hated you, and yet, somehow, you've managed to charm Ellie. Thanks to that, I found it really unpleasant to hear her talk about you at home. I couldn't hold back my surprise at her hostility, but I argued, but I even paid for her college tuition. Acting all high and mighty over something like that? You understand how much $45,000 is, don't you? Besides, isn't Ellie the star of the wedding? I've been invited by Ellie, you know. However, Catherine's response was unwavering. She continued, enough already. Just don't act so self-righteous, please. Don't come to my daughter's wedding. With that, my eldest son's wife used strong language to insult me. Her continuous mistreatment was more than I could bear, but I responded with a beaming smile, saying, I understand. If you say so, I'll gladly not attend. My eldest son's wife was momentarily surprised but quickly smiled victoriously. She said, it's a promise. Please, don't come. I confirmed, I understand, don't worry, and she left with a sense of triumph. Afterward, I immediately called my eldest son and asked him to come over because I needed to discuss something important. He arrived promptly, and I explained the situation with my daughter-in-law. My eldest son was taken aback, saying, wait a minute, that must be a mistake, right? I should have been paying for Ellie's tuition from my salary. I replied, but Catherine came to me every year asking for the money. That's why I gave her the money each year. My son informed me that he had been receiving raises every year, so the situation was perplexing. I couldn't believe it, but I did find records of transfers for Ellie's tuition in my bank book. I also had further evidence of the conversations with my daughter-in-law, which I had recorded earlier. When my eldest son saw this, he was furious, and I felt the same way. I won't forgive her, he said and called Ellie to discuss the matter. Ellie, upon hearing the story from my son, was at a loss for words. But she remembered something and began to speak, saying, I did notice her buying a lot of things suddenly. I thought it was because of Dad's increased salary, but she was actually spending the money she took from Grandma. Furious and seeking revenge against my deceitful daughter-in-law, we decided to boycott the wedding ceremony. Instead, my son showed me the wedding through a video call. I could see my oblivious daughter-in-law happily enjoying her drink. Then, it was time for the bride to address the family, and Ellie stood at the microphone. She confessed, I have something to tell you all today. My grandmother, who was supposed to be here today, isn't present. My grandmother has always been very kind and treated me with love. That's why I loved her so much, and I wanted her to come to the wedding. Of course, but she isn't here today because of a particular reason, my mother. Ellie went on, my mother, who is my grandmother's daughter-in-law, disliked her and told her not to attend the wedding. Moreover, I found out that she was appealing to my grandmother's emotions and collecting $45,000 for my college expenses, even though she wasn't actually in financial trouble. Ellie's words stirred the crowd, and I could see my daughter-in-law panicking and rushing to the stage. She protested, Ellie, what nonsense are you talking about? Mom, it's not nonsense. I have the evidence right here, and I know what you've been doing with the money you took from Grandma. The confrontation escalated, with Ellie revealing her mother's affair behind her dad's back. She threatened, I've had it investigated by a private detective, and I have the evidence. I'm going to divorce you and seek compensation. You'll also have to pay back the $45,000 you stole from Grandma. Catherine, my daughter-in-law, collapsed on the spot, feeling exposed with everyone's attention on her. Realizing that her affair was now public knowledge, she likely felt there was no way to continue living this way. She ran away from the venue, and I watched her escape through the video call, secretly thinking, serves her right. My eldest son decided to file for a divorce and claim compensation from Catherine and her lover for the affair. He also demanded the $45,000 she had taken from me. As a result, Catherine ended up in debt, owing a total of $72,000. Meanwhile, I started living with my eldest son in my house, and Ellie and her husband came to visit regularly. We all went out to eat together, and I planned to cherish my family, including my eldest son, Ellie, and my second son's family, and enjoy the rest of my life.